What a hammering. What a hammering England have given to Sri Lanka in the first of the official Super 8 games that's taken place.
Yeah, I mean, the first game that's managed to get completed, and what a match it was. Not one that most, let's say, batters would remember, barring a Phil Salt, but a match that has given a huge advantage to the England team and at the same time, massively disadvantaged the Sri Lankan side.
Because look at what has happened. Because of this 51-run win that you've had in Pallekele, England now are truly dominating this Super 8 stage with only 2 games to go. Because now they have had a statement win against Sri Lanka. They can do well against Pakistan and against New Zealand also. Remember, this was a very tricky wicket. 140 they just managed.
149.
146 rather.
Yeah.
But Sri Lanka have absolutely capitulated with the way how things have happened. Because look at it. Will Jacks taking 3 wickets.
In the power play, no less.
In the power play. And barring only Dasun Shanaka to a certain extent with 30 runs. The rest of the batting order just folded up like a pack of cards. 9 from Pathum Nissanka. Rare failure for Pathum Nissanka. 6, 4, 0. Then 30 is the highest. 5, 6, 10. You're not going to get any kind of hope from the Sri Lankans. And that's why Phil Salt's 62 ensured that England had an above par score of 146. Remember, initially there was rain. In the starting of the morning session in Pallekele, there was lots and lots of rain. But then, looking at the situation, it was a boost that England managed to get 62 of 40 from Phil Salt and Sam Curran, vital cameo from him, to ensure that he got England past 140.
Yeah.
If it was 120, 130, then Sri Lanka might have approached this in a different way. But I would say, I think the player of the match is Phil Salt.
No, it's Will Jacks.
It's Will Jacks, obviously, 3 for 22. I mean, which spinner takes 3 wickets in the power play?
And that too, someone who's at best a part-time off-spinner. I mean, we talk about off-spin having a resurgence. Will Jacks.
Will Jacks. But again, if you see, even only part-timers have hurt Sri Lanka. Look at it. Bethel took 4 wickets in the series that was played in one of the games in Pallekele. And now, because of this, 4 matches on the trot now England have won at Pallekele. Sri Lanka have won only once in their entire history playing England in Pallekele. And that was at 2012 in the World Cup.
Correct.
So, when it comes to World Cups, I mean, and in T20Is, England have a massive advantage against Sri Lanka.
And in fact, it's funny, you were talking about their Super 8 chances. If you look at the teams they have in their group, historically, there are 3 teams that by and large, they've had the wood over.
Yeah.
Baseball era has been defined by wins against New Zealand and Pakistan. And who happened to be their next opponents in the group stage?
New
Why?
Zealand and
New
Pakistan.
Zealand and Pakistan. Very funny.
Very funny indeed. But then, talk about this particular situation. Let's talk about Phil Salt. I mean, KKR's ace, who ensured that.
And also now RCB's ace. Lest we forget, one back-to-back titles was a very key part of RCB last year as well. Hurt a little to see him do that. But, I mean, auction dynamics can't say much. He was the one batter actually whose one inning stood out. Without his 62, England are approaching nowhere close to 140 odd because none of the other batters, barring maybe a Sam Curran, contributed anything meaningful. Everyone seemed to be getting done apart by what looked like a fairly tricky. Jacks, I remember, also had a bit of a cameo. Yeah, see, 21 runs.
Yeah.
So I think him also, he contributed with the bat and ball. I think that's why he's been given the man of the match, by the way.
Of course.
The 21 runs there, as well as the 3 wickets that he got in the power play, absolutely making the difference. But otherwise, look at that. Joss Buttler, 7 runs. Jacob Bettel, 3. Tom Banton, 6. Harry Brook, 14. Curran, 11. It's not been a good day for England's batters, and this is exactly the kind of conditions where you'd see them get horribly undone. It was definitely a stodgy kind of a track. It had something for the spin bowlers. In fact, you look at even there, who are the bowlers who had so much success? You had Valalage, who got a couple of wickets. Tikshana got a couple of wickets. In fact, Tikshana got 3 wickets in memory, 2. And so it was one of those tracks where you could see the spinners were having some effect. But I did not expect, even then, that Sri Lanka would get this badly undone as they did. 140 odd could have actually required them playing percentage cricket. Instead, for whatever reason, they lost their head and then 5 wickets down in the power play. Forget about it.
Yeah.
You're always fighting an uphill task.
34 for 5 in the power play in the chase of any total, except if it's 100, sub 100 score.
Yeah.
You are only then still marginally in the chase. But chasing 147, look at, minus 2.55. That is the net run rate dent that Sri Lanka have undertaken at this point in time. And now, I think I might be getting 3 out of my 4 semi-finalists right, I think. I don't think I'm getting my 4th semi-finalist right in Sri Lanka. Although I don't know, stranger things can happen. Maybe Sri Lanka can beat New Zealand, but even they have not had a good record against New Zealand for the last couple of years. Against Pakistan, 2 mercurial sides.
Good luck predicting a winner. I did say that I don't see Sri Lanka as being one of the favourites. I didn't anticipate that this would be the kind of first game they'd have. I did think maybe they struggle a little bit against England, but they'd at least lose respectively. Then that way they'd keep themselves in the hunt with the net run rate not hampered. But minus 2.550, you'll need to win by a similar margin to actually just make your net run rate close to respectable.
Correct.
And sadly, neither Pakistan nor New Zealand are going to give you the opportunity, barring something catastrophic happening, to get that sort of a win against
Or
them.
rain.
Or rain.
Because
But even rain won't help them unless if it's washed out, they'll get 1 point. But their net run rate is unimpacted.
It isn't impacted. But again, see, it would depend if they see Sri Lanka's next game is, I think, against New Zealand, if I'm not mistaken. Their last game is against Pakistan. So it is not going to be easy at all at this point. And yes, it is against New Zealand. And I think it will be at Pallekele only. I think Sri Lanka versus Pakistan will be in Colombo. Now 2 straight losses Sri Lanka have had.
Yeah.
Against Zimbabwe and now against England. And
We were talking about off-air about teams peaking at the right time. I think Sri Lanka have done the opposite. They started off very well, but then that one loss to Zimbabwe has seemingly seen the wheels fall off, because now they've lost heavily to England as well, and suddenly it's an uphill task. Look, you could handle a tough loss in the group stage. Why? Because you had 4 matches. Here you've only got 3. 1 heavy loss is as good as a 1 nail in the coffin.
Yeah, it is 1 nail in the coffin. And unfortunately, when you look at it, Sri Lanka are kind of, the shroud has been put, and now they are taking them slowly to the coffin. Then, unless they stage a remarkable comeback against either New Zealand or Pakistan. But even New Zealand and Pakistan might be no mood to let that go, because both teams have probably gotten disadvantaged with only that point split that they had yesterday. So, Group Y, now we are seeing a lot of activity. Sri Lanka has now gotten 1 loss and minus 2.5. Pakistan and New Zealand are 1 point, and England have got 2 points. So, let's look at situation. We waxed lyrical about Bethel. We waxed lyrical about Phil Salt. But now on Will Jacks, another RCB guy, when you look at it. Jacks also, when you see how he has also performed, there is this entire England contingent now who are powering a particular franchise. Look at Bethel. Bethel is an RCB guy. Phil Salt is an RCB guy.
Will
Jacks is an RCB guy. Time with that franchise, he's really done them a whole world of good.
And Will Jacks in particular, by the way, is someone who was coming off a lot of criticism prior to the T20 World Cup due to his absolute horror show in the Ashes.
Yeah.
He didn't acquise himself well. And I don't blame him. I think that was a clear case of miscasting someone, or thinking that, he's someone who can bowl a bit of off spin in white ball cricket. Let's give him the whirl in red ball cricket also. It doesn't work like that. You need to be skilled enough to be functioning as a proper spinner in the longest formats. Jacks is sadly not that. But Jacks is in the right conditions a fairly good T20 bowler.
Yep.
And I think now they're getting use out of him. Even I think it was in the game prior to this, he scored.
MI player now.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. He moved to MI.
Correct.
Now he is, he wasn't, I think he scored at 41 ball 100.
He's been part of
RCB.
Yeah. But the key, what I was saying with him is, in the last game also, correct me if I'm wrong, I think he got a 50 odd that rescued England. They'd had a bit of a batting order collapse, top order, and he scored 51. It was one of these games. I don't remember which game it was. In fact, if possible, we can check which was the last game that England played.
I think it was Italy, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think it was the Italy game where he ended up getting, he got a 50 odd. And I think he got that at number 8. And because of that, they ended up actually getting a decent score. See, player of the match was Will Jackson in the last game.
Yeah,
also.
it was Italy.
See, 53.
of 22.
There was a
right?
major collapse. 53 of 22 is what took them to 202.
Yeah.
So, again, without that 50, they could have been hovering at maybe 160 or 170 that Italy, I dare say, could have chased down. But his 53 took them over 200, made them win. So, 2 matches on the trot now. He's had player of the match performances. They're using him just fine in the shortest formats. He's a more than capable, hard-hitting batter and someone who can give you overs as well. So that's a good use of him.
Yeah, before I also come in, let me just tell you guys, we'll be doing this post-match and then we'll just give you an update on the India game when it happens. We know that in all India games, there is a double header.
Yeah.
Every India game, there will be a double header. So you'll have a day game on Thursday, you'll have a day game on Sunday as well.
Correct.
And Sunday, it makes sense to have a double header, or I don't know whether it makes sense to have a double header in a T20 World Cup. But we had 3 matches in one day. That's also happened. Now we're down to 2 on some days.
Yeah, 2 on some days I'll take.
Yeah, exactly. So there is one concern though over this England batting lineup, and I would say it revolves around Joss Butler.
Yeah.
Butler has not stepped up in the bat at all, and today's struggle 7 of 14. What's gone wrong with Joss Butler?
See, I think with Joss Butler, I know a lot of people had high hopes for him because he had a good season last year with the Gujarat Titans. But I dare say that the kind of batting style that was expected from both him and Gill suited him and Gill very well. Because they were expected that, okay, one of you guys can be aggressive and the other can play kind of an anchor role. Then you got a Sai who will come in and actually I'd say is better suited. I know people see him as a test batter for whatever reason. The PCCI certainly does. But he's better at white ball. So he was also someone who could get you big runs but at a consistent clip. That is deceptive because when it comes to international cricket, Joss hasn't quite been the same player since 2022. In T20s in particular, even ODIs, he had a good World Cup, decent World Cup in 2022. But 23 he was abysmal. 24 he wasn't much better.
Yeah.
There have been indications. There's a reason he left behind the captaincy. Because England was struggling and his form was struggling. Sadly, leaving behind the captaincy hasn't led to him fully rediscovering that form yet. There's been glimpses. But overall, the story looks very similar, and that's a worrying thing.
And yeah, I'm worried about Joss Butler's form because see, if England are winning, perhaps the form can be swept under the carpet. But then on a crucial stage, supposing if you lose, I mean, England have lost 1 game and that was to the West Indies.
Yeah.
Butler at this point in time, I don't know when was the last time he played a huge match-winning knock. It was Butler and Hales that ensured we had our last T20 World Cup loss.
Yeah, 24.
22.
But 22 semi-final.
Semi-final.
Yeah.
But 24 we didn't lose after that. And now also we are on an unbeaten streak. So Butler at this point in time, I think he is on his last throws. I'll have to be very blunt and say, if he doesn't recover the form, I think he will also be a T20 freelancer for higher than after this season.
It's quite likely because see, if you look at their top order, someone like a Bethel can open. Banton technically was an opener. They're kind of accommodating him in the middle order now. It's not like they don't have options. Yeah. I mean, what's to stop them? Say, for instance, if you remove Butler, because anyway, you've got Salt who can keep.
Yes.
You're essentially opening with 2 keepers. You can drop Butler, Salt turns the gloves. And you can bring in someone from the squad who can bat in the lower middle order. You can even push someone like a Brook to 4.
Yeah.
What's to stop you? Brook is also a top batter when given the little bit of time, let's say, to flex his muscles. I think 5 is also a bit unsuited for someone like a Brook. Play him at 4. What's wrong with that? Then you can have a Will Jacks actually come ahead of a Curran. Yeah. And Curran and Dawson as well as an Overton can be those guys who will give you the final flourish. Because right now, Butler is being anchored. He's a bit of a weight on that neck.
Albatross.
Yeah, and I don't like saying that because I really am a big fan of Joss Butler, the cricketer.
Yeah.
But the fact is that I don't think he's adding much to the England team right now, and that is
because I'm just looking at the thing and how many what was his performance been like? If I have a look at it, these are his scores. Okay.
In the T20 World Cup.
No, for the last year.
Okay.
Okay, since January 2026.
Okay.
39. No, sorry. 17, 39, 25, 26, 21, 3, 3, 7.
Okay, that's all fine. Strike rate also hasn't been great. I will take some of those runs if I'm getting a good strike rate. If you're getting me 30 runs at, say, a strike rate of 180, 190, I'm okay with it. But even his strike rate hasn't been great.
See, if you look at his strike rate, In one game, it was 135. Okay. In one, that's his highest game. 39, where he got his strike rate was, here he had a strike rate of 50. Josh Butler. I mean, when do I associate Butler with low strike rates? Then against Nepal, when you look at against West Indies, in that particular game when they won by 30 runs, Butler's strike rate was 150. 135, 150. That seems to be his premium strike rate, when we all know Butler can do much better.
The thing with Butler is, and this is something people don't tend to remember, is that he's someone who can sometimes, his strike rate is made up for that he'll bat long.
Yeah.
So he'll start off a little slow, will make up for it later, which is fine. But what happens when you then don't get the time to make up for it later? You get 7 on 14. By the way, I was just looking at the squad options. You've got a Ben Duckett on the bench.
Oh,
So
Shane
there's
Dyer's light. I know you will endorse him for it.
So there is literally an option there that you can sub out a Butler, play Ben Duckett. It gives you a left-right opening combination. Salt downs the gloves. Your problems are sorted. It's a very tempting option because, again, it's not even like you have to reaccommodate your batting lineup.
Yeah.
It's straight swap.
Ouch. But then dropping Butler, who I admit is the OG of England's white ball fortunes. I mean, if you have to look at the starting point of when England began their revival, it was Butler who led that resurgence.
And in fact, at that time, bear in mind, in a very different role.
Yeah.
In 2019, the World Cup, he was practically their finisher. He
Yes.
used to come into bat at 5-6, and his job was go bang bang. So after that they promoted him to open, and he changed his template a bit. But see, that's the thing. Time and tide waits for no one.
Yeah.
And if you've got a Duckett there on the bench, admittedly, even his form has been mixed in recent times. But if you're going to get mixed form anyway, what's the harm in trying it?
So this is it about the England team, but then now we'll focus on Sri Lanka. We will give an India update once we know whatever is the strength at that point. We'll do this.
Actually, we will actually know that right now. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Another 2-3 minutes. Yeah, 2-3 minutes.
Yeah,
But then,
2-3 minutes.
Yeah, what we'll do is we'll discuss a bit about Sri Lanka, and then at 6:45 and somewhat about 5-7 minutes later, we'll give the India update. But then Sri Lanka, man, oh man, what has happened? What has happened to the team that looked so good until the Australia game? It was the Australia game that awoke the people here that yes, there is actually a T20 World Cup, because fans were just not coming. And on top of that, admissions to most grounds were free.
Correct.
Now Sri Lanka woken up, and now they're seeing that there's a nightmare of 2 losses against Zimbabwe, which they couldn't defend. How bad was that? Here they couldn't chase.
Exactly.
They were not even in the chase. And looking at Sanath Jayasuriya and the team, they are a gutted lot.
See, that's the thing. A lot of people were talking about, Sri Lanka, home conditions, is that. I remember offering one counterpoint, but I said, this team is entirely too reliant on Pathum Nissanka.
Yeah.
The day he doesn't do well, I don't see this team managing to put together a decent run. And that's true.
It's true.
They
It
got
happened today. Yeah, 9 of 8. That's what Pathum Nissanka's score was. And after that, 30 by Dasun Shanaka. That's it.
Also, the other problem is that whilst they do have decent spinners, I do think that their pace bowling right now is a little bit on the hit or miss side. Chamira is hit or miss. Madhushankar is hit or miss. The one bowler who started to consistently find form for them was Patirana recently.
Oh.
But he's injured. Picked up an injury at the worst time.
Big concerns loading for KKR.
Yeah, I'm not happy about that, but what do you do? That's just bad luck. If only we had Mustafizur to fill in. Oh wait, we don't.
We don't. That is the bit. So yes, this is the thing about Sri Lanka. Now, as I said, I think 3 out of my 4 semi-finalists might be right. I think I might get it wrong on Sri Lanka, because today's performance has only given me that particular bit. That boss, your batting, if it collapses, it just doesn't recover. And with Pathum gone, like you rightly said, with Pathum Nissanka gone, man, oh man, now this is a huge issue. Dasun Shanaka tried, but then you had already lost 5 wickets. Pawan Ratnayake, who had done well in the other games also, he also fell cheaply. It was highlighted by one particular instance when I think it was Dushan Hemanta. He pulled a ball, but his bat hit the stumps. That is how unlucky Sri Lanka have been at this particular point in time. And look at it, now 4 straight losses against England. 3-0 in Pallekele prior to the T20 World Cup. Now this loss, 2 crucial games coming up against New Zealand and Pakistan. I think their T20 World Cup campaign is now hanging by a thread, Because remember, it could have been 2-2-0-0. But with 1-1, now Group
suddenly it's
Y.
trouble.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I mean, people were asking me also, yaar, what if this is same? So, we have done a video on Sports Today as well about Group Y. Because Group Y might get impacted by rain the most. And Shane, what was the weather forecast for the rest of the games in Sri Lanka?
Not good. Because I was looking, see, today's game was supposed to be hit by rain. It rained a lot in the morning, but thankfully we got none. But I remember of the 5 games, there was one game day that wasn't going to be impacted by rain.
And this was
Just one. No, today there was rain.
Okay.
There was supposed to be rain in the afternoon, but whatever happened, I think we got lucky. It rained in the morning time. By the afternoon, it cleared out.
Yeah.
But I remember there was only one day where there was no rain prediction. Otherwise, there was always just little rain here, little rain there. And little rain here or there can become lots of rain in a few days' time. That's how weather predictions are.
Oh boy, indeed. So now, assuming, okay, now luckily England have gotten the full game, so they get 2 points. But there is a possibility of 2 teams or 3 teams all getting in the same point at this stage. Now what happens? If a team is tied on points, okay, wins, points, then NRR comes into the picture, right?
Yeah.
Now, in a freak incident, if NRR is also same, then head to head. If it's head to head, then England and New Zealand will go through, if it's head to head. And also looking at the way how it is, right? If that is also same, then rankings.
Oh dear.
And in the semi-final, when you look at what is going on, in the semi-final bit, if a team finishes higher, that's it. They will go through to the final. So it's India-Pakistan, and if India finish first, Pakistan finish second, then India will go through. If it's a semi-final in Colombo at this point in time. So, lots and lots of things that is there at this point about the net run rate and all that. But Sri Lanka, I think they will not need that.
Yeah, I think minus 2.550 was done.
Plus more rain threats at this point in time. That is going to be a very, very interesting situation. So yeah, for people who are joining us, it's not looking good at all for Sri Lanka. And I can point out to 3 instances. One of your spinners had an off day, number 1. Look at what Dushan Hemanta, he I think went at an economy rate of over 8, number 1. Number 2, Pacers. Pacers really ensured that they leaked runs. Towards the fag end, Chamira got hit for runs. Those 20-25 runs additional dented their confidence. Number 3, Patum gone, you panicked. And you tried to be over-aggressive against spin, just didn't happen. So these are your 3 major reasons why why Sri Lanka couldn't win. And now their journey is looking incredibly bad at this stage. So 2.5, minus 2.5 for Sri Lanka, 4 straight losses against England. And England now, before we turn our attention to the India game, are you seeing shades of England 2022?
It did remind me of that because I remember it was that year also. I remember I said, look, on paper they have the best side. But form didn't quite reflect that because they scratched their way through the group stages. They had that one DLS loss to Ireland. They had another game that was washed out entirely.
Against Australia.
Yeah. So with both of those games that were done, suddenly what looked like 4 points or at best 2 points also, assuming you lost to Australia, although that year Australia weren't that good also, they were kind of hot and cold, you had 1 point. From perspective 4, you had 1. You needed to beat Sri Lanka to ensure you scraped through. You did.
New Zealand.
Yeah, you beat those 2 teams. But then you kicked into gear when you smashed India by 10 wickets in the semi-finals. At that point in time, I'm like, oh God, this is the team. Kudrat ka Nizam and whatever, this is the team. They are winning the World Cup. That's what happened. Do I think this current team have that much quality? Probably not. But they've peaked at the right time. That's the fearsome part. They have hit their form at just the right time. If you look at the group stage, they've lost the one game that they did was to a very respectable West Indies side. Everyone else, they've managed to beat. Whether you do it scratchily, whether you do it badly, whether you do it by close margins, doesn't matter. It's T20 cricket. Win. You're there. Now, they're suddenly in a position where even if they win close games, their net run rate won't really be impacted that much. For them, net run rate can be an afterthought because they've gotten such a big win here. In fact, if I was Sri Lanka, I would have probably actually looked to just play out singles, doubles, bat through the innings. I don't know why they didn't do that, because they were trying to go for big shots. Once Dasun Shanaka was out, the match was done and dusted as far as winning. Like, I know I make fun of sometimes when that match where in the 2019 World Cup, where Dhoni and Kedar Jadhav pretty much just batted it out for net run rate, but that's an important thing. Sometimes it's not about trying to win. Sometimes it's about trying to minimize your losses. This should have been one of those cases. Right now, the net run rate was sort of minus 2.5. It was minus 1.5. You could still say, yeah, it's okay. I can live through this. Minus 2.5 is like, yeah, you'll need a thumping win against either Pakistan or New Zealand. Neither of the two teams are going to potentially give you that, barring something catastrophic happening. So, I don't know. I think for Sri Lanka, they're in a very sticky situation. Huh?
Before that, I mean, I would say when the Nepal game happened, I didn't say that, what is this here? England are even struggling even against Nepal. Then they lost to the West Indies.
Yeah.
Then they pulled through against Scotland and they pulled through against Italy. I felt that
finally gave them 2 wins against European nations.
Yes, that's one jinx which is broken. But their performance against Sri Lanka now has gotten me thinking. I did predict that England might scrape through to the semi-final.
Yeah, that's what even I thought. I thought they'll just about do enough.
Yeah, because they do have a good record against New Zealand and Pakistan when you look at T20 World Cups in that sense. But this performance of 51-run thrashing, I think it has forced me to say that they won't scrape through. They'll be the first team probably from this group to qualify.
Could very well be the case. Because if they win their next game, then they're all but through.
All but through.
Especially that 1-1 point has actually put them at an advantage. Yeah?
Exactly. So they need to actually win all three.
Yeah.
Because there is a situation where even Pakistan or New Zealand can both leapfrog them with 2 wins.
Correct.
Because they'll get to 2 wins if that happens. Pakistan can also get to 5. New Zealand can also get to 5. England will be stuck with 4.
Correct.
So anything can happen at this point in time when you look at it. So yeah, the post-mortem is done for the Sri Lanka versus England game. Congratulations to England. But from Pallekele, we turn our attention to 2,000 kilometers away at the Narendra Modi Stadium, because we have had our toss, we have had our team updates, and for the first time, India will be chasing. In this T20 World Cup or 2026, India will be chasing because South Africa have opted to bat.
Yeah, and the reason given by Aiden Markram when asked why bat first, it's because he said it's a good wicket, but it looks drier than some of the other ones we've played on. So, that's the thing. If it's looking a lot drier than the previous ones, they're not expecting early tackiness. What they think, okay, early on it'll be good to bat, might get tougher, and considering the kind of weather forecast we've been getting from Ahmedabad, I'm not sure dew will be a factor.
Unless if there is no breeze.
Yeah.
But again, it's a closed stadium, and if it's hot, perhaps there might be a bit of an onset of the dew.
But if that happens, then it's advantage India, because with the onset of dew, usually even a slightly tough pitch can ease out. Although we've seen Ahmedabad.
Although I was worried about that only. Why on earth would you want to bat first?
Yeah.
I agree that, okay, they batted first against, did they bat first against Afghanistan? Yes, they did. They batted first against Afghanistan and they managed to get to super over. But that was a day game.
Yeah.
This is a night game. Dew, and of course the pitch could ease up later.
Yeah,
but
that's the worry.
Then if Markram has read the pitch correctly, it's a masterstroke. But I think if the pitch behaves like a typical Ahmedabad wicket does, difficult to begin with, and then it eases off, then it's a big blunder.
Then it's a massive blunder, and because then it's a case of win, toss, lose match.
Yeah.
You had the option to just chase. Conventional wisdom suggests that you chase.
But actually, you've never chased 200 plus in Ahmedabad. It's never happened. That much. IPL, I know one game where Kolkata Knight Riders managed to win thanks to Rinku's 5-6s. But if you look at it, T20 eyes, they've never chased. I know the South Africa-Afghanistan game, I think was 180 or 190 if I'm not mistaken. So 184. So it will be very interesting. Markram should have read the pitch well. If he hasn't read the pitch well, it's a disaster. And the team news, there are 4 changes in the South Africa lineup, but our main thing, I had told you
Washington or Akshar? Well,
it's Washi, because the matchups are worrying India. There are 3 left-handers out of the 6 in the South African lineup. So, can we have a look at the team sheets? I think I also have the team sheets at this stage as far as the match is concerned. So, looking at the team sheets, 4 changes for the South African team and for India. This is it. Abhishek Sharma, he will obviously going to be in. Ishan Kishan, obvious, best batter. Tilak, man, now that is a vote of confidence which Suryakumar Yadav had mentioned in the press conference as well. So, from the side that played Netherlands, where Washington Sundar bowled, that's the same team. Aksar, when you asked about him, he says like, it's very harsh on Aksar Patel, we're going with the same team, just a tactical decision. Because of the left hand. And imagine, Bapu, who's got a fantastic record at Ahmedabad, as the ping ball tests and all the other test matches that he's played there, doesn't get to play a T20 World Cup in front of his home fans. Imagine. And why tactical? Because look at the South African lineup.
You've got De Kock, you've got Rickelton and David Miller.
3 in the top 5 are going to give you left-handers.
Also, the other advantage, a Washington can bowl in the power play very well.
Yes. So, if a left-hander was bowling, it was disaster.
But if a right-hander is bowling to left-handers in the power play, very interesting.
Very interesting. So, that is why South Africa have made those 4 changes. Bosch remains. NGD is back. So, if you look at the batting lineup, Markram, De Kock, Rickelton, Brevis, David Miller, Stubbs, Janssen, Bosch, they bat till number 8, potential till 9. Maharaj can just hang in. Rabada, but his form has been a concern. He's not been that Kagiso Rabada ever since the last couple of months. Lungi Ngidi, the guy who's been the real difference maker for South Africa.
Yeah, he's gotten them wickets. He's gotten 8 prior to this match at an economy of 7.58. Look, him getting wickets is not news. He always gets wickets. But 7.58 economy is impressive. This is a guy who goes around 9 on average. 9 economy. So he's actually brought that down, become a better bowler. The one who really worries me though, Marco Jansen. Always. Yeah. He always worries me because he just seems to have this ability to turn up against India. We saw during the test series as well. He had a half century and a 5 in pretty much the same match. He has that ability. He can be a very tricky customer. Yeah, that extra bounce. Plus he can sometimes throw in the slow cutters. Makes him a tough nut to crack.
Tough nut to crack indeed. But India batting first. I mean, India will be chasing for the first time. What do you think? Is this a territory of the unknown, or do you think with the totals that India have always been posting, I think this is the way that they prefer chasing? A target is in front of them, we know how to approach. Yeah, you saw in the New Zealand series as well.
Yeah, I think they'd be okay chasing. I know that this is the team right now whose batting style is so revolutionized from 2024 that they are okay. They are very good to actually defend totals because their batting will pretty much outbat any opposition if the conditions are right. However, I think they'd be okay chasing. And if it starts to ease out, then it'll be a major talking point because again, Markram having won the toss just to bat first.
Yeah.
Because what he's reading is that it's not going to change much. So we're just backing ourselves to kind of get a good total. Okay.
Okay. So if you look at India, South Africa past encounters in the T20 World Cup, okay, India batted first in 2007. South Africa couldn't chase. Okay. In 2009, South Africa batted first. India couldn't chase. They lost by, I think, a very close margin. I think 7, 8 or 10, 12 runs. I'm not sure of that. I think they did. 2010, India batted first. South Africa couldn't chase. 2012, India batted first. South Africa couldn't chase. 2014, South Africa batted first, but India chased in that semi-final. Then when you look at 2022, India batted first. South Africa chased. 24, India batted first, South Africa couldn't chase. So, it veers heavily to the fact that a team that bats first in India-South Africa matches traditionally tend to do well. South Africa are going by that past precedence because remember, there are only 2 wins when you look at it against India in the T20 World Cup have come once while defending and once while chasing. So, there's no trend as such to suggest. So, I find it has to be an absolute tactical masterstroke from Aiden Markram. If he's gotten the pitch wrong, then South Africa are going to slide to yet another defeat against India. By the way, it's not looking good. 21-13. That's India's record against South Africa. And in the T20 World Cup, as I mentioned, 5-2. So, oh boy, for me, chasing will be a bit of an unknown.
No doubt.
I think India are aided by the fact that South Africa's spin bowling is not that great. You only have a Markram, you have a Maharaj. Rest all, okay, maybe you can get some overs in from who? I don't see any other spinner. Brevis? Some spin?
Who's practicing? Tristan Stubbs was apparently practicing off spin
Off
in the
spin.
nets.
Tristan Stubbs, a part-timer. Which is why I think the lack of a spin bowling depth in the South African lineup might hurt the team.
I agree, because again, if I look at a lot of teams nowadays in white ball cricket, it's pretty much a given that you have at least one wrist spinner, a wicket-taking option. Keshav's a good bowler. He's not the wrist spinner, dangerous, X-factor types. He's not even like a mystery spinner, someone like a Varun or an Usman Tariq. They have no one like that. That's the funny thing. They don't really have a spinner like that. Keshav is a decent spinner. Nothing wrong with him. But I do think that if they had one other kind of a spinner, might have worked out better in their favor. Unfortunately, they don't have that, and that's worrisome. I do think that'll cost them, because they're very reliant on their pacers to get them wickets. Or they'll have to hope that their part-timers really step up and can be game changers, but that might not be something that's a guarantee.
Exactly. Because I think they've gone by past trends. You can't chase that well in Ahmedabad. In T20Is in particular. Because last time they played, Chakravarti got 4th the second innings. And they defended that total well. So, oh boy, it's going to take something. And it's, remember, it is and everybody's saying it's a bold toss call by South Africa. If they can get to 180, 190, then I would say, boss, it's game on. India might face their biggest challenge today in South Africa if they go through. So, yes, this is the first game of the Super 8s in the X group. Previous 2 games happened in the Y group at this point. So, this is a very, very interesting bit. And let's go and take some comments now. And, okay, Sarat Chandra is saying, it's been England lower order that has saved them down 3 matches. And it's Curran and Jackson bowling. Oops, it's gone. Yeah. That saved them in 3 matches. Curran and Jackson bowling to poor batting from SL. Some have been worse shots. Jack's contender for player of the tournament, really impressed from Salt. Salt was anyway impressive from 2024. We knew the talent that he possessed, and that's why this is the situation that we have. So, man, I will not be surprised at all by the England performance that is there. So, let's take, I think, Asalanka, Sachin Kashyap, Asalanka and Kushal Perera needed in batting 11. Kausal Perera, inexperienced. Only Shanaka and Nisanka are performing. Yeah, that batting is a problem. It's a huge problem. And as I said, it will not be a surprise if Sri Lanka bow out. Because remember, I had mentioned Sri Lanka because of the home conditions, they might scrape through. I think that is also not happening.
Yeah,
now.
I think that is done and dusted.
Yeah.
Because with the kind of net run rate hit they've taken.
Yep.
Let's see, you've got Shrira Savaikar saying, how can you drop Akshar? You know what? I would agree. I'm a little surprised. I think they've simply played the conditions and said, look, we've got 2 batting all-rounders and both of them are going to give you 2 overs at most. Right now, we may feel like we need the all-rounder more than the left-arm orthodox. That's the only reason I can think of.
And looking at the way our off-spinners are having a rule in the T20 World Cup, I mean, look at it. Who did the damage against Sri Lanka? An off-spinner. Will Jacks. Will Jackson off-spinner, he did the damage. Who knows, for India, Sundar gets a chance in his home ground. I mean, he's a GT boy.
Yes.
So, Rabada, how many players are there from Gujarat Titans at this point? There is Rabada, there is Sundar.
And Siraj is in the squad.
Yeah, he's in the squad. But then, apart from that, Abhishek and Ishan are both Sunrisers. Tilak Mumbai, Surya Mumbai, Hardik Mumbai, Shivam Dubey CSK, Rinku KKR, Washington GT, Arshdeep PBKS, Bumrah MI, Varun Chakravarti KKR. Yeah, I mean.
So you don't have too many GT guys.
Miller was GT.
Was.
Hardik also
was very key.
So this is not going to be easy. I mean, I would say it's a very risky call that they've taken with this winning the toss, and normally convention would suggest. But Ahmedabad has dished out everything. You bat first, it's given you benefits. You bat second, it's given you benefits. Depends on the pitch at this point. Sridhar Savaikar, is a blunder for me not playing Akshar. He's performed brilliantly under pressure, be it World Cup 24 or CT 25. Played a crucial role in middle order. Indeed. Rahul Dev saying, but second match chase against New Zealand and won by South Africa. But again, different pitch, perhaps. But it has given you the entire gambit. If you wanted to bat first, but in a day game, it's helped you. It helped you defend against a rather small team in Canada. But then you chased against New Zealand. So that is the thing.
Scroll down. I want to see what Desmond Haynes has to say.
Yeah.
Down. Saying that Akshar is a Hardik level as all-rounder and proven in big matches, as we saw in the 2024 final and 2025 CT. It's senseless to drop him to Sundar. Could have played Sundar dropping a batter if they want. But who? Rinku? I don't think so.
Why stuff yourself with all-rounders when you know that Rinku can do well looking at the position where he's in? You can't play more than 2 spinners. It's a toss-up. I'm sure if Zimbabwe or the West Indies don't have that many left-handers, I'm sure Akshar will slot back in. Because if you look at the batting lineup of each team, I'm pretty much sure it depends upon the matchups. Washington is playing because 3 out of the 5 are all left-handers. 3 out of the 5. And South Africa's national anthem, as you know, is the second longest national anthem in the cricketing world. So that will take some time before the India anthem comes in. So I don't think you could have dropped Rinku. I'm sorry, Desmond Haynes. That's where I think you don't play more than 2 spinners. In India, if it was Sri Lanka, you play 3 spinners.
Yeah,
that I would agree.
No sense going for 3 spinners in Indian conditions. We know you don't get rank turn kind of conditions. You'll get flatter wickets. Yes, they might sometimes be trickier, not quite the same as the 220, 250 wickets you were getting, but still more batter friendly. Makes no sense playing 3 spinners.
Yeah, just go down a bit. You've taken that Sachin Kashyap comment. Sri Lanka lost to Bangladesh at home in T22 in recent times. Abhi Zibran is saying, yeah, I mean, Sri Lanka have not had a great build-up to the T20 World Cup, let me tell you. Getting swept 3-0 by England, that itself is an indication that you had serious problems. And Australia would be kicking themselves for having lost to Sri Lanka the way they did in Pallekele.
Exactly, because now when you look at them, you're like, was this the team that caused you this much trouble?
Yeah.
Get Pathum out and the rest of them struggle.
Pathum, that was the key. It was Pathum Nisanka at this point. So that is why I think this is going to be very interesting. And there seems to be a lot of things that don't save Bumrah for the thing, bowl him in the power play and then in the death. I think that is a strategy that they will have to do it at this time. So it depends how Surya Kumar Yadav manages his bowling combinations, which is there at this point. And GGK is saying, last match for Abhi today, he will fall in first over and Sanju opens for the next match. Irrespective, we are unbeatable. I mean, look at it. We want somebody to fail because someone wants to come in.
Yeah, I think that's unfair. I think we should back Abhishek till he's there in the team. And I anticipate him being there in the team for quite some time.
Quite some time indeed. So, what do you think? Now let's get to the predictions part. What do you think? South Africa and India.
It's a toughie because I do think if they're saying slightly on the slower side, I think South Africa get to about 173, but India win.
173, man. Ooh, it is a tough one. If it's a dry wicket and there's no dew, then I think South Africa have gotten a big advantage. And plus Surya Kumar Yadav also mentioned, "Arey wo chemical dal dete na." So the chemical also might stop the onset of dew. Tough one, yaar. This is a match I really didn't want to predict that much. But okay, I would say 165, considering that the pitch is drier. I think we are heading for a last ball finish.
I do think it will be a close game.
Yeah.
Even if I'm predicting an India win, this is not going to be like a 15-16 over win. Not at all.
No, I think it will be a very close game at this point. And that's what Rohan Shetty is saying. Looks like SA don't want to take the scoreboard pressure against India.
Excuse me.
Considering the recent results between the two teams. Yeah, I think so. I think chasing, they know the best time to tackle Varun Chakravarti and Jasprit Bumrah is probably batting first. Maybe. And then if you say Jitu saying both Sanju as well as Akshar is the man who have to be dropped for others. Even they performed well, really unfair for Akshar.
Sanju maybe less so, but Akshar I agree.
Look,
he can be aggrieved to sit out.
But Akshar, yes, but Sanju, when he got that one chance, he didn't break that door down in at 22 of 9 against Namibia.
Exactly.
He fell when it was least expected, and there was a moan and groan in the whole stadium when that happened. Everybody wants Sanju to prosper, but we don't want others to fail. But Sanju doesn't help himself, and
He
that's
doesn't.
why both of us are predicting India win. But I think it will be a very close match. It depends whether Markram has read the pitch correctly.
Correct. That's the key part. If Markram's read the pitch correctly, genius call. If he hasn't, India are looking at a win.
At a win, and that will put them in a good state for the Super AS for the semi-final qualification at this time. So
Correct.
Hardik Pandya is going to open the bowling, and whether it will be spin at the other end with Washi,
It would be interesting.
that we'll have to check out. So
I would personally give Arshdeep one over because of Quinton de Kock's poor record against him and left armers in general.
of course he got Quinton de Kock out in the final in Barbados. So that is the thing. So Markram on strike against Pandya. And
We'll take your leave, guys, though, for now.
yeah, indeed, we'll take your leave, and of course, bowling that for the first time ever since that final,
2024.
that last over. Yeah, it is. Yes. Time has frozen, guys. It is 22 February, but we are still stuck on June 29th, 2024 then. So, bye-bye. See you soon. And Sachin Tendulkar. One strange thing. No, wait. Sundar has a terrible record and was poor in the last game, even versus Dutch, when Offies across teams doing havoc. Do we see Abhishek may bowl a bit at right-handers? Let's see. It all depends on Surya's strategy. So, bye-bye, folks. See you soon for the mid-innings.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.